Coven. If you find you want more Missing Witches and this strange magic in your life, get our book. We poured our heart and brains and minds and all the magic we could find into it. We'd love to know what you think. And new in the Missing Witches universe, multiverse, Amy and I are hosting monthly circle gatherings over on Patreon. Our Patreon is full of all kinds of sweetness. There's special audio there from guests and from Amy and I. And now that there's these monthly circles, which we're also recording and sharing, and they're just rad. They're just fucking magical places full of magical people who love this project of feminist history and are coming together to bring their questions and their stories and their support. It's a really powerful coven. We feel really lucky to be there, and we would really love for you to join us. Our Patreon is pay what you can, so whatever feels good for you. We're not doing tiers or levels. Sign up and you get all the goodness, and we hope to hang out with you and share some magic soon. That's patreon.com/missingwitches.
You aren't being a proper woman, therefore you must be a witch. You must be a witch.
Hi, friends. Hi, Coven. It's a warm, sunny, midday, windy day after this cool Lughnasadh weekend that sunk us suddenly into a premonition of fall. We gathered with some friends for days or nights or the whole long weekend, and as we wove grain mothers from clover, mint, and meadowsweet to honor until Samhain, and knotted poppets out of corn husks and talked through knots of feelings and tendrils of ideas, we did some field recordings, and I've edited some moments from these into what turned into a meditation to carry forward with us from these first fruits into the harvest season, the plump August days ahead, and then into the coming dark. It became a meditation on rot and water and weaving and what we keep and what we value. We shared water around a fire and drank grape juice from Italian grapes brought to Montreal over 30 years ago. We talked about the dishes and anger and anxiety and gratitude and the feeling of putting away. We meditated on rain predicted and the height of the sky, knitting and weaving and the math of care, husks and kernels and umbilical cords and tides and awe and its contexts, repair and cursed objects, all while weaving and cooking and eating the movable feast of mint and raspberries and blueberries and oregano and wintergreen and each other, with a dose of Cat Stevens hollered from the porch. Thank you for being with us. Blueberry pancake song.
Because when you see like value in everything, then everything has value. It's difficult.
But then one has to see like where this like second half-life can be. It doesn't have to be at our place, for example.
Yes.
It can be somewhere else. It can live with someone else.
Mm-hmm.
We have in May's dress-up trunk, which has taken over a chunk of the living room.
Good.
There's this hand-knit little crop waist sky blue wool tank with sequins stitched on every single possible centimeter of it that my great-grandmother made for my grandmother.
She made it.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
When my grandmother was a teenager. Yes.
Goodness.
Thank you
you.
for bringing yourselves and your water visitor. It's really nice. Oh, thanks. I didn't realize you were reaching out. But of course you were. Andy?
Thank you.
Thank you for this water.
I feel like I should be standing. I like it. Do you want to tell us about your well?
Well. I don't really know much about the well itself, other than that when we got our place, we didn't know what the water quality was, and I just had a really good feeling. And then we got it tested, and it's like the cleanest water that's ever existed, but also full of iron. And as a former anemic, all hail the iron-filled water. And my next-door neighbor told us it's the best water he ever tasted. So now that I've raised your expectations as high as they possibly could, Coats and Choke.
What's Coats and Choke?
Cheers in Hungarian.
Egészségedre.
Köszönöm.
As May likes to say all this.
Kampai.
Egészségedre.
For me,
It's
it's always
different.
an act of gratitude
Yeah.
to do dishes, because it used to be the thing that made me the most like angry inside. Like I become impatient and everything. And when we started dating, of course, he was like cooking all the time, so the least I could do was do the dishes, and it became like a work with myself to accept this task and and like approach it as an act of gratitude.
Yeah, I've been on this same evolutionary path myself, like learning to actually appreciate it for like the moment of zen that it kind of is. And it used to just be like full on a source of anxiety, like a sink of dirty dishes, like I'm just gonna panic and run, you know? But now I'm like, this is an opportunity to like stand still and just like.
Yeah, dishes for me are total like party me time, which I know is like you shouldn't have labor be a me time, but sometimes labor is just so fun. And like dishes with like a podcast or music, and I'm drinking a glass of wine. Everyone else is away. I'm alone. I'm making things tidy.
I make a lot of decisions in my work, and like so to have a space where I can just like do something that's really monotonous, and like I'm so like I love the end when everything's spotless and like everything's put away. It was raining a bit on my way here, but
yeah, I mean the foretold 70% rain all day has not manifested so far.
Is that what they are saying?
Yes.
But the, microclimate, or even a 70% chance of rain here is always going to be nicer than in most other places. It's like when you're at the lake, whichever lake it is, there's some small magic of even if it was rain, we would be happy. For having shelter or being in a porch or whatever and being able to just see rain on the lake.
It's different in the city too, because it kind of just feels like the same but wet. You know?
Yeah.
And I find the same with winter. Like, it's like in the city, it's just the same but cold. But out here, it's like a completely different universe with its own beauty. And same with the rain. It's like, it's different and wet.
I like in the city, the one thing that helps me, we have a nice view. It's the sense of having like a medium distance. To be able to see the clouds come in or see the rain coming at an angle and things like this. And whereas in Montreal in particular, since we're always in these troughs, that it's hard to get any sense of like medium depth. And so these moments of getting out like on the Carrière along the train tracks, and getting to be able to see like, horizon, but like a far away. Suddenly, the eyes open up, the sky opens up, and you're like, oh yeah, right. I'm not just in this little like short distance.
I've never been to the prairies.
That's where I'm from.
Yeah,
so it's
so this is like
I need to be able to see
that
everything.
makes sense.
where are you from?
From Edmonton.
Okay, I'm from Winnipeg.
Okay.
So you've got that
Very
like
beautiful.
expansive, like I've never seen. Maybe from an airplane, I guess is like the closest.
It's a crazy feeling.
Yeah.
I was like very much an adult the first time I saw it. I was very bowled over by it. It was very visceral.
And when I go back, it's also really surprising because it's not there often. I remember being in Edmonton in June, and of course, like the sun is up forever.
Yeah.
Edmonton's
still north.
Yeah.
It's really north.
53rd parallel. And so it's like it's still light at 11 o'clock at night and light at 4 in the morning. So it's 6 o'clock or 8 o'clock and the sun's still there. It looks like it might be going down, except it's going in that direction. And so it's like just looking at you the whole time. Like, you're on a patio, it's all fine. It's no big deal. But I remember being in a parking lot coming out and all the houses, everything looks super squat. And all the trees are squat, everything's shorter because of the permafrost. And it's just sky. And then you have these massive cumulus clouds. 10,000 feet that look like they're about to fall on your head. And it's this really like arresting feeling of Like, there's so much space, but also all this weight up there. I feel like there's no, why am I not flying up into space?
Yeah,
I think about that all the time.
Why am I flying up into space? I landed in Winnipeg the first time I ever went there by plane going to a conference, and the skies were doing that Winnipeg sky thing where it's like, how can they go on forever? As we're landing with the blue sky. Life changer.
Keep coming, like, who had 2 sticks and some string and was like...
And a lot of time.
Apparently it's actually like fisher people who needed to do, like, to make nets.
Cool.
And like knitting was a new, someone just like, thought about making loops within loops to then at the end just secure the loops with the rope to make nets. So instead of doing knots every time, it's just like you loop it and you do it like across your on your arm. It's like,
That's
pick a loop.
really interesting.
Like the people who like dressed their whole families were women, and they're the ones who kept their families warm through generations. So it's a woman thing.
Yeah, it's another one thing. I mean, just the idea of looking at something that's for one purpose and then in your mind applying it to a completely other purpose with different materials, and it has obviously like a complete life of its own.
It's so abstract. Like to create something 3D out of 2 sticks and yarn.
Yeah.
Like
it's bananas.
really,
Is what it
it's
is.
like very,
It's okay to say it. It's fucking bananas.
yeah. It's fucking bananas.
Yeah, so once again, this is how far back in amazement I'm still working through, like, Neanderthals and, like, proto people and, like, the internet. Don't even get me started on, like, how much that blows my mind. I can't even get past knitting and cooking food over heat.
I think it's great to stay amazed and enthusiastic about these things that are amazing and not see them as normal.
There's this author named Terry Tempest Williams, and she lived in Utah forever. And she tweeted this recently, like she was flying over and like remarking on the beauty of, you know, how the water passes through the land, to the point where the person next to her was like, "Oh, is this your first trip to Utah?" Like she was in such awe still after her whole life that they assumed she had never seen it before. So I like to think about that.
Oh yeah.
It's like geology and geography is like not banal.
Or
just like existence, period.
Yeah.
I remember the last time I was at Fundy's National Park in New Brunswick. It's the place where the tides are the highest in the world. And it always amazed me. I remember being a kid and going there and being totally impressed. And even as an adult, when the tide comes back and you see like the ocean turns brown because of the force of the water is stirring all of the sand and the sea bottom.
And this wall of water coming at you.
It's so amazing. And I went to get an ice cream right next to this place, and I don't know, I was just telling the person who was serving how amazing it was, and she was like, no, it's disgusting. I call it the sea, like the tide of shit. It looks like shit.
Yeah.
It's like, oh wow, it's true that like you've been living your whole life here.
But when we visit spaces like that, we can divorce the landscape from the culture. Also, the experience this person has of living there and their like human environment, we just like skate and skim on top. We don't get a sense of it. And you go to like Barcelona, which is totally beautiful, and that like all of the people in Barcelona are so pissed at all the tourists that are there, just ruining everything. Yeah. They're like, oh, but it's such a beautiful city, it's so nice, I love it, and your food's so great. Just like, go home. Yes. My friend came up with this notion of also as a like creative person who repairs keyboard instruments for fun. So like finding old pump organs on the street, or like harpsichords from people's basements and stuff, and like carving the wood to make the parts, and all the little brass hooks and the little leather straps to hook everything on. Like, oh yeah, I understand that. And he clearly identified. He said, "Well, these are curses. Like, I'm cursing myself by taking this home and having this object in my own house. So am I choosing to bring this, like, to invite this curse into my life because I'm going to be trapped with it?" And it really helped me sort out my, like, garbage picking. To be able to look at something and be like, no.
You're cursed.
I don't accept this curse. There are other ones that are on the list that are acceptable. And then being able to look at things that were curses that I invited in and saying, like, nope, your time's done. I'm not holding space for this.
Totally.
This obligation that I've given myself, really, any longer, and it's okay to let it go.
It's so much easier to purge physical things than like the emotional things. It's like, it's a pleasure. I love pitching shit out of my house.
Oh, yeah.
Like passing the kids shit on, getting it out, moving, keeping the cycle. But then like when it comes to my own shit and like what the things I think about, and it's like I want to get rid of that, but it's still kicking around. Still kicking around.
But it's not just anyway. For me, it's not physical. Like for me, it falls in the category of the secret life of objects, of how imbued they become with attachment, with memories, like an external memory device. I can remember which corner of which street I found it on, and what kind of garbage bag, and what the weather was like, and what I had to do to get it clean, and all the hopes and wishes, and it's all of this aspirational future wrapped up in this, which is about like potential worlds and possibilities, and then giving that up.
That's totally our relationship with thrifting. It's like bringing stuff in. Sometimes it sticks, sometimes it doesn't. You're passing on the sort of lives of these things. Sometimes they stick for like a couple months, but it's okay. They're like, it's like $1. You don't need it back. And you see your stuff there all the time.
So hard to weave like this.
I want to leave here in like 10 minutes-ish and go and cook dinner together with Mark and Ray. Keep some of this for the fire tonight.
So we have some more things to like.
Yeah, just a little bit. Like we really don't need a lot.
But we can burn it all too.
That's true.
Turn a little bit. Do you know this song? Don't Be Shy by Cat Stevens? Yeah, you do. Have you ever seen the movie Harold and Maude?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So,
I love that.
this is the page we're on.
If you want to sing.
Nice. Next.
I think that one's only 3 chords. Well, don't be shy. Just let your feelings roll on by. And don't wear fear, or nobody will know you're there. Just lift your head. Just lift your head and let your feelings out instead. Don't be shy. Now don't be shy. Just let your feelings roll on by. On by, on by. On by. That was the practice round. Now don't be shy. Just let your feelings roll on by. And don't wear fear, or nobody will know you're there. Just lift your head and let your feelings out instead. Now don't be shy. Just let your feelings roll on by. On by, on by. On by, on by, on by. On by, on by. On by, on by. Now we're all gonna sing la 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 la. I'll go first. You can do whatever you want. Riff out on it. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la.
It's really a mansion of a fire.
Yeah.
I like to build a very architectural support.
It's very satisfying. The squareness of it all. And the smile.
Also, since the last time we gathered on this day, with that big rotten birch log, and the pleasure of having this big, gross, wet, unburnable thing be consumed. Every time I come to make a fire, I'm looking for another giant, gross thing.
Yeah.
To
Like a
lean
challenge?
on. Yeah, I'm more just like, let's get this started.
Yeah.
It's going to take a while. I won't be here for all of it, but let's get it in there. And actually, it's super useful to have something that doesn't burn up right away, because then everything can lean on it and be supported by, and it brings air in and all this other stuff. It's quite surprising.
I'm going to stick my fistful of knots my husks that I want to shed right in the mouth of that fire face. I'm excited about it.
I think I heard that the hairs on these, maybe everybody knows this, but I just learned this recently, that every one of these hairs connects to a kernel, on the cob.
Amazing.
And that's where it brings in the moisture and the energy. So every single kernel is connected to one of these guys. It's their umbilical cord to the air to bring
to the outside.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing.
How's your Benham holding up? Do you feel like it's a person?
It's part of me, that's for sure.
It's part of you.
Yeah.
I think the last time we did this, mine were all so clearly men. It was like a burning of men figures and roles that I wanted and had in my life. Ways of thinking about men, patriarchal, controlling versions of men, con men. But it doesn't feel like that this time.
What were you saying before that you were thinking about as you were braiding it? Didn't you say something at the house?
Yeah. I mean, this time it really felt like it was a path of judgments of myself. Knots of circular thinking and doubt. And trying so hard to try so hard, to try so hard, to try so hard, to try so hard. And control, ultimately, I was thinking about the sort of surfing versus horseback riding metaphors, and I'm always trying to face events and things that I want to change and things that I want to transform or transubstantiate or eat or whatever. Just sort of versions of these knots of a relationship of control.
thinking about that dance researcher that we just spoke with, about like just seeing the dance in every gesture, in every like gathering of people, in every way your body's moving through time. Like seeing those things as helping us heal, really. Just trying to always, I guess, let go of some back control that I have. Yeah, I feel ready to burn that.
It makes me think about part of the magic that we found had to do with letting it go and acknowledging the care in it. Like all of that effort to control and like stabilize and be on top of and recharge or like
Exactly.
hold on to was about self-preservation, about safety, about survival, and really from a place of strength, though as distressing as it feels. For me, I think about this time being at a place of fullness, like reaching to harvest, etc., and the work that it's taken to get this far, and so being in a place of strength, to be able to say, with the like fullness of light, what's necessary, what's not necessary, as a preparation to plunge back in the dark.
I'm teaching you how to sing.
Okay.
Sun, sun, sun.
A drum will fly up in the sky.
You can do what you want. The opportunity's on. And if you find a new way, you can do it today. You can make it all true, or you can make it undo. You see, it's easy. You only need to know. If you want to say yes, say yes. And if you want to say no, say no. There's a million ways to go. You know that there are. You know that there are. You know that there are. You know that there are.
You must be a witch.